Right, welcome back guys. Push day going down today. So we are just under 6 weeks out. We've got Baxter in for the session. So you are going to get some education today. Those of you that do not know who Baxter is, please watch the pull day video that has been dropped just recently. And you will get to know who he is, what he's about, and what he actually does for a living. He's an educator, he's a physio. He is definitely one of the most knowledgeable guys in the industry when it comes to all-round execution, mechanics, biomechanics, physiotherapy, and non-BS advice that will actually fit you, not just empty your wallet. So that's always a great benefit, right? So usual session today. Some of you probably have seen this, but either way, we are going to get stuck in. We're going to get the job done, and we're going to see how we can perform. We are going to perform. I think a lot of people use prep as a little bit of an excuse to take off the gas and basically start slacking in the gym. That's definitely not my approach. Training intensity always remains, and the goal is always the same when we come in the gym. We try to progress in any way we can, or at least uphold the quality of work. So, usual session, we're going to start with some primary stuff, which is a set of rope crunch, and then some pullover work before we get stuck into our laterals and pressing. So let's get it. Game time. Now guys, if you want to support me, you support the channel, use my code KUBA10 at trainbygp.com or my code KUBA with Hardbody, and please make sure you do subscribe to the channel and comment and like. All this stuff really helps growing the channel and give me the opportunity to give back more to you guys as well. Because the better the channel does, more videos are coming to you. So it's a win-win for me and you. Whenever you step in the gym, your attitude can dictate how successful your session will be. If you come in the gym with a negative attitude and a negative mindset, it's not going to breed any positive results. You have to come in the gym not only with confidence, but also with a mindset that is bulletproof and a mindset that is set to really focus on the job that you have at hand. Ultimately, if you visualize success, it's going to materialize. So your attitude is everything. You want to be successful, change your attitude. There's always a positive to take in any situation. So no matter what you're going through, when you step in this gym, you get after it, you get the job done. Right down, motherfucker.
Warm up, one key thing I'm focusing on is getting the clavicle moving. So you notice we're doing some lat work, some overhead work, some crunches. I want to keep my sternum up a little bit more. So now as I upwardly rotate, my clavicle moves. A little bit more clavicle movement. That means I'll be able to posterior tilt my scap to get into that nice pressing position. If our sternum's down all the time, clavicle can't roll. We end up rolling over while we're trying to press. So sternum up tall reaching, moving shoulder girdle, then our press will be a little bit better.
How you prepare for the gym really plays a massive role. Now, what you do for the last hour to hour and a half before you step your foot through the gym store will ultimately dictate how your training performance will actually be. So try and use, if you have the opportunity or the chance to do so, last hour or even last 30 minutes if you can. Before you actually come to the gym, spend time focusing on what you're going to do. I think mental preparation can play a massive role when it comes to training performance. So make sure that mentally you're switched on for what is actually going to happen in the gym. So anything that you do outside, any external stressors you may have, work, relationships, job, whatever it is, try and put that to the side for the next hour or two and make sure that the time in the gym is yours, nobody else's. Now, one thing you'll notice, I treat all my exercises the same. So, whether I'm going to a lateral raise, or a hack squat, or a press, the intent and focus remains the same, alongside the intensity. I see so many people approach the little work, like the bicep curls, like the laterals, with a lackluster approach. Every exercise that you do in the gym is of equal importance. So you should treat them with the same intent, the same intensity, same focus, and same execution. The little stuff is what ultimately sets the foundations for the big stuff. Do not neglect it. Right now. So you might be thinking, why the neutral grip? On this machine in particular, this grip is going to force your elbow to flare out here. This grip, on the other hand, it allows you to keep much safer arm path, and in turn, you can see how much more range of motion I can get. So generally, it's preference, yes, but there is some nuance to it as well. I generally think a neutral grip on a machine like this will offer you more stability, more range of motion, and ability to actually move more load with greater range, which then in turn can actually result in better growth. So try it out, guys, see what you prefer, and more importantly, see what you can actually do more weight with for more reps with more range of motion. That's the key.
On this one and a lot of other pressing machines that are plate loaded, they have quite a steep arch. So if we're straight against the seat, we're either going to have a funny position here or a funny position here. You can see we slide forward a little bit in the seat, which really changes the angle of our torso. Now we have a nice pressing angle the whole time. On something like this, or the hammer strength, being right up against the seat, sometimes not the best. Slide a little bit forward. Now we have a nice range of motion.
Now, the issue I see with most people when it comes to progressive overload in general, they often take huge jumps in load when it comes to progression. What you want to be aiming for is 2.5 or even 1 1/4 when it comes to your load progressions. So generally the way I like to work things when it comes to progressing my load, I aim to hit top of my rep range, which generally will be between 6 to 10 for a first working set on some exercises. The second I start to get 10 or even 11 reps, that is when I've earned the right to progress the load, and that is when I will either opt for 2.5 or 1 1/4 when it comes to load progressions. If I was to put 5 kilo on, I'm probably going to change my execution to make that load lighter to try and get my actual rep range. The last thing you want to do is change your execution to make the lift easier. You need to keep your execution standardized when it comes to progression. Otherwise, you're actually making the load easier and you're taking away from the exercise, not adding to it. Successful set. So, when I use the logbook, I actually track my body weight for each session so I can see a reference point of where I'm at. Generally, as you lose body weight, you should expect your stability to get worse with pressing. This is where your performance may take a hit. Now, last session, I got 8.5 reps with this, and I was actually 3 pounds heavier. This session, I got 9.5, and I'm 3 pounds down, which means it's a massive progression for me. So, as you can imagine, I'm very happy. Now, don't just track your load. Track your body weight with your logbook and track the quality of your sessions. It's all valuable feedback and data that you can collect and then use for future reference. Now, if you don't like tracking, that's fine. It's something I like to do because I like to use data for progression. Simple. At this point now, it's 6 weeks out, just under 6 weeks out. The goal is upholding training performance. If I can get some progressions in place, amazing. But that's not the focus. The focus is maintaining my execution, maintaining my range of motion, and making sure that I provide my muscle with quality stimulus to make it stay whilst I'm dropping the body fat that I need in order to get stage ready. The last thing I want to be doing now is adding load and then seeing the progression get worse or drive fatigue or even change my execution or lower the stimulus through just overshooting. It's the last thing I want. Quality is always the priority. Remember that, guys. Quality and priority. So session structure, pretty simple. Start with lateral. Again, I always like to start push sessions with a lateral raise. Doesn't take away from pressing, but actually provides me more stability and safety with my pressing straight after. Now, exercise number 1, it's not really a shoulder press. It's more of a press that targets the front delt, but also your upper pec and the clavicle. So what you'll notice is we'll push our hips slightly forward, lift up our rib cage, and that alignment of the upper arm moves perfectly in line with the upper pec and the front delt. So I like to use it as more of a high incline press, and then we'll follow with more of a low incline / flat convergent press to really finish the chest portion of the compound work. Then on from this, we'll go into a narrow grip tricep press on my favourite machine in the whole world. So stay tuned. Don't be ready. Some of you that have access to Prime machines, I would always favour using them later on in your session because you've got the ability to adjust the resistance profile on them. Most of you don't need to concern yourself with that. However, some of you that are more advanced, you may need to explore the options of adjusting resistance in order to match the strength curve of the muscle. So all I mean by that is your pec is the strongest here. So it makes sense to adjust the machine to either setting 5 or 3, which overloads more so the stretch. So the first 2 sets we'll do setting 5, which is mid to lengthened, and then final set is pretty much all lengthened with a big drop off as you get to shortened range, meaning that we can pretty much use the same load across all 3 sets and get similar rep range because, again, we're adjusting resistance slightly to match the strength of the muscle. Now, this is the stuff that you really need to learn when you've been training for at least 5-6 years. Unless you're at that point, forget about it, guys. It's just fun info for you to know. Just an outline of what I'm specifically doing with the session. I like to cover that in detail, even though sometimes it might sound a little bit complicated to some of you. Doesn't really matter, just enjoy the show. But some of you that want the information, hopefully appreciate it.
Write that down.
So because we're so familiar with this now, there's no warm-up sets needed. We've just done 5 sets of pressing, so taking a warm-up now on this for me would be a waste of time because I do this every 10 days, so I know my settings, I know my setup. So for me, I can go straight in. Bikes on the other hand, he hasn't used this machine, so for him, it's a good idea to actually get a warm-up set in place. Now, this is the beauty of having consistent programming and not chopping and changing movements. You get familiar with them, and the longer you run a movement, the better you get at it as well. So you get more from it. So, as I said earlier, Nitram Pro Cheese chest press, we've got the ability to actually adjust resistance on this piece. So, we're actually going to use the same weight, but now we're going to shift the load primarily to overload the stretch, and it will drop off a lot as we get into shortened range. So, I should be able to get similar reps to what I got on my first set, but with the same load, just different distribution of the actual strength profile. Just had my protein serving from the intra-workout, just 25 grams LPS max. I always drink that mid-session. Some of you guys that are familiar to the channel already know I like to keep my protein servings nice and even throughout the day. So pre-workout meal goes down at 10 to 12, around 2:30 I have my MPS, and then post-workout meal goes in at 4:30. And then intra-workout carbs I start sipping as I start my session, and I always aim to finish them before my second to last exercise. So it means when I actually sit down to eat my post-workout meal, my stomach's completely empty. 5.5 weeks out, we've got a sneak peek. Haven't done any updates on Instagram or anything throughout this prep. Why? It's boring. It's for me. I don't really share that side of things because it is for me. It's not for anything else. I prefer to share my training. That's a bit more interesting. Bar incline overhead extension. This is by far my favourite tricep exercise. Skull crushers in general, in my opinion, if you do them right, use load that you can actually handle without excessive joint pain, it's the best exercise you can do for your tricep. The research actually supports that the stretch portion of the rep is the one that actually stimulates the most growth. Any form of skull crusher is going to expose your tricep to a lot of load on the stretch. So for me, this is the ultimate tricep exercise. If you want to build your tricep, you need to be doing a variation of skull crusher. Whether it's dumbbell, cable, or even free bar, doesn't matter, get them done. Cuff lateral, my favourite delta exercise. Now, I much prefer this setup, and the way I actually set this up, the load actually drops off a little bit as I come to a short range, so it's an ideal exercise to finish off your push days with. Now, the reason why I do it on the floor, pretty simple, easier setup, I don't need to drag the bench over, and it's a consistent spot for me to be in, meaning that the setup is always standardized, whereas with a bench, you're always going to put it in a slightly different position, which is always going to be a little bit annoying. So luckily, we've got cleaners coming in every single day. The floors are nice and clean, so I can do it. Working sets here, and then we're going to move on to calves. Now, my training volume hasn't needed to come down just yet. Whenever I see any sets start to drop off with connection and training performance, that is when I simply remove them. This goes to show, realistically, in most cases, you're not growing much muscle. So bringing down the training volume to preserve your training performance is always a great call, because ultimately it is the training performance that is going to really dictate your ability to hold on to muscle tissue, not the volume itself. So always prioritize upholding strength and training performance. That's always the key. Remember guys, quality over quantity always.
About training with Kuba and Mark is they understand that bodybuilding is an individual sport. So we'll do the main stuff together, and then near the end of the workout, Kuba does a little bit of things for him, Mark goes his way, I'm doing some extra biceps, kind of what we need. So individualizing everything, even though you have a training partner, I think is extremely valuable. So training with these guys, they understand what they need. They understand how we work as a team. Perfect combo.
Stretch time, then calves. Then I've got some med and 2 rounds of posing. We are not messing around. When it comes to contest prep and off season, not much changes to be honest for me. It's pretty much the same. The only difference is in prep, I pose more, I move about more, and I eat a little bit less. That's the only difference. So it should be really with bodybuilding. I think a lot of people struggle with prep because they're off seasons, they're not really off seasons. There's no such thing as off-season in prep. There's no such thing as off-season in bodybuilding. You take your foot off the gas and you actually have an off-season, you end up struggling in prep. Because you lose routine, you lose the groove that you're in with the day-to-day tasks and the quality of your day-to-day tasks. So always remember guys, it's not just about ticking the boxes, it's how well you tick the boxes. Something to say to my clients over and over again, quality is always, always going to win. Write that down. Ultimately, training will take a slight hit towards the end of prep. However, it should realistically be only the last couple of weeks. For me, I am someone that is very emotionally attached to training because I love it so much. So my priority in prep is upholding training performance and the quality of my sessions, which in turn is actually going to be beneficial for retaining the muscle mass that I've built in off season. So remember guys, your goal is not just getting peeled. Your goal is getting peeled whilst retaining as much muscle as you physically can. It's not a dieting contest. It's called bodybuilding for a reason. Write it down. That is the session wrapped up. So I'm going to go on some meds now, eat my post-workout meal, which is 125 cream of rice, 50 prawns, and I will do a round of posing for the wife. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Definitely getting close. I haven't actually posted any updates, so you're actually getting to see a physique update. Guys, appreciate you all. Very, very excited to get on stage this year because this is the first year where I feel like I will step on stage as a pro feeling like a legit pro. I'm pleased, yes, but never satisfied. There's a lot more to come, and you will see a lot more in years to come. I'm still 29, so I am a fresh pro, and I'm still fresh in the game. So let's get it. Guys, thanks so much. Peace out for now.